Hey everyone, today's an exciting day because today I'm going to show you the new ToneX editor. I know we've all been waiting for this for a long time, so here's a very quick and dirty first look. Just know, little caveat, this is just, there's still some tweaks to be made. IK Multimedia graciously sent this to us just a little ahead of time to test out and kind of see how everything's working. So it will be released very soon. I'm not going to give you a definitive date, but it's coming very soon. Check their socials for stuff like that. But I just wanted to show it to you and give my first impression, and then we can go from there. So looking at the software, here it is. So as you see, there's something different. This is ToneX software, but there is no Librarian tab up here, and there's no editor. So what happened? Well, first and foremost, the editor has become a separate app entirely. Maybe you knew that already. Maybe that got leaked out. I don't know. But here is the ToneX editor. It is now a standalone app, disconnected from the main ToneX software and kind of lives on its own. I thought originally when they were going to do this, I would have assumed this is if you're totally new to ToneX, then none of this is contextual for you. But the previous ToneX software had Home, Modeler, and then Librarian here. And then I always thought that they would just add an editor tab, like right here. But they've made the decision to make the two separate, and I get it. I really get it. I think now what's going to happen, if you have physical ToneX pedals, you're going to use the editor 99% of the time. And then, but if you're a musician who likes to use ToneX in a DAW, for example, or you're a user who captures your own pedals or amps like I do, then you're going to use the original software for the modeler section where you'll do the capturing. And then again, if you're in the DAW world, and if you're recording direct to Logic or Pro Tools or something that you can load up the ToneX software, and this is what that will look like in your DAW. But today we're going to focus on the ToneX editor. This editor is basically everything that we thought it would be. It's very intuitive. It feels exactly kind of like we would expect from IK Multimedia. They didn't throw in any surprises at all that I can see, at least. There are a few features that we'll go over, but you'll see the layout is pretty intuitive. Basically, the editor takes away the bending over and tweaking the effects on the hardware unit. All of that, everything, even from the global settings onward, are all now available right here in the app, which is so convenient. So let me just give you, a few thoughts here. Okay, so right now I have a ToneX One plugged in. I actually have a whole bunch of ToneXs plugged in because I have a couple different boards. I have my main pedal board, which has these two big box ToneXs, and then I have 3 ToneX Ones plugged in. I know it's a lot, but it's really cool to know that you can do that with a USB hub. They all connect. They all integrate seamlessly. It's fantastic. So basically right now I'm connected to one ToneX One, and when I have that connected up there, you'll see a green light showing it's connected, and all these parameters are tweakable, if you will. So right up here at the upper right, you'll see the global setup where you can do input trim, main volume. You can set up, some global settings, all that kind of stuff. Right here, this is showing you the preset. Now, if you're brand new to ToneX, there's a difference between the preset and the tone model. The tone model is down here, and the tone model is basically, if you want to think of the tone model as the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, okay? It's just the raw sandwich with no additions at all. The preset is the peanut butter and jelly sandwich with the crust cut off, with the orange slices added, with the pretzels and the fruit roll-up. Okay, the preset is like all the tweaks around it. So tone model is the basic amp capture or drive capture or whatever, or amp head capture, just the raw capture as it was captured with no fluff, no EQ, no effects added around it. A preset then is that raw amp capture or drive capture with EQ tweaks applied, with effects applied, all that kind of stuff. So right now, you can see this preset of my AC30 has the gain adjusted, has the bass turned down, has some frequency adjustments on it. I never put any effects on my presets. That's just the way I run it, but as you can see, this preset came loaded with all these different tweaks already there. So just so you know, it can be a little confusing at first. If you click on this little button right there, it comes up with the tone model browser. I'm not going to get too deep into that. That's basically a way if you wanted to change your tone model apart from the preset. You wanted to keep your preset but change just the tone model. We're not going to get into that right now. We're going to leave that be. So let's go back to the basic features. You have the editor, which again, so if I change anything right here, if I change the gain, if I change the bass, if I change any of this stuff, it is going to apply to the hardware pedal immediately. And on the ToneX One, there's no save button currently because on the physical pedal on the ToneX One, there is no save feature. So the editor operates the exact same way. All these changes that I make are happening in real time, and it sort of automatically saves. You don't have to do anything else to save it on the ToneX One. On the big box ToneX, there is a save option, so just know that. But basically, if I turn gain up here, it's going to turn gain up or down right there, just as you would expect. Totally works. It's totally awesome. It's everything really we've been wanting. Now, if you go to the Librarian tab right here, this is where you can drag different tone models and presets onto your slots. So again, with the ToneX One, if I have slot A selected right here, I can go and just click and drag any of these and drag it right on top and say overwrite. And now this preset right here will be applied automatically to that slot. If I click over here, now this one, I can come down here and click, drag, and drop and overwrite it there. There is a really cool feature that IK Multimedia added. It's called auto load. I actually had it on when I was doing that. But basically, if you have a spot selected, say I have this B slot selected, all I have to do is single click, and then it automatically loads right then and there, and it will do it on the pedal. You can be holding a guitar, it will change right then and there. And so you can just single click around and it will load that in. And then if you go back to the editor right away, now you have access to tweak all the EQ and all the stuff like that on that preset. Now let's go to the big box ToneX. So I'll click one of my big box ToneXs. And while it's doing this, I will voice one of my complaints, if you will. The big box ToneXs take a while to sync. Kind of has just a lag in it's always been that way, even with the Librarian on the old software. So that same trait gets inherited in the ToneX editor. And if you're dialing in stereo amps, which I do and my primary audience does, you know, switching between pedal to pedal can take a little bit of time. As you can see there, that was all real time. I didn't edit any of that. So it takes a little bit if you're trying to dial in, you know, a stereo sound and you want to go from one pedal to the next. It does take a little bit of time to switch between the two devices. That's just the way it is. And I don't know if they could speed that up somehow or not, but it's kind of a lot of information to process. Because the ToneX One has less information, less presets, it's a lot faster. So if you're using ToneX Ones, that editor is a little bit quicker going between things. So now that we're on the big box ToneX that does have a save feature, let me just kind of highlight some things they did here. So let's say I have this AC30 V1 G12M EQ preset. That's something that if you've been using my presets, this is something that I have promoted on my social media. I've been using this EQ preset. I actually took the bass way down, took the mids down a little bit. And really, even though this appears dramatic, I have another video that talks about what these controls actually do. This is only -6 dB and it's a bass shelf. So it's not as dramatic as it might seem. But anyway, I really enjoy the sound of this. So this is the stock preset loaded in. Let me show you that just to make sure we have a clean slate here. This is my master list. If I go up to the Librarian right here, right, and I'm on auto load and I'm on this spot, I can easily just come through and just single click and it will automatically load. That way I'm assured that I just have a clean, fresh copy of that. It's exactly as I meant it to be. So go back to the editor over here. So right here you'll see I did adjust the gain. I did turn down the bass. And there we have it. So this is the tone model name. This is the preset name. Now, if I go in and make some adjustments to this, say with presence and depth, adjust those, just like on the big box, it's going to give me the opportunity to save. It's going to be italicized, meaning it needs to be saved. It puts an asterisk next to it, meaning it needs to be saved. So I could save that right then and there, and it will save it. Or if I made some tweaks, I could save as, which is another cool feature, and you can choose a different location for it if you'd like. If I wanted to write over that, for example, I can save it right there, and there it goes right there, and that one is a little bit different than this one. Now, let's start over. I want to show you something. Let's go back to this spot. Let's again load in, just make sure it's a kind of a clean version of that preset as I intended it. Go back to the editor up here. These are the tweaks that I wanted to be in this preset. Let's say you start tweaking them for your rig and you lower the gain a little bit, you bring that bass back up. You can save that right there. But let's say as you're playing this, because I could have a guitar and I could be playing this right now, and you would hear all these changes. Probably should do that for you guys in just a second, but hold on. If I do that and I don't like those changes, I can do things in two ways. I can say reset the chain, which will bring all of these controls back to noon, which actually isn't the way I originally designed that preset to be. So there's another button called Revert. If you press this button, it will actually revert that preset back to its the state that I had intended, the state that I saved it in originally. So as you're tweaking, let's say you add a compressor, a delay, a reverb, and you're tweaking the presence and all those kinds of things. You tweak that up like that. If I say reset chain, it's going to reset all of this stuff. If I say revert, it's going to bring it back to the original preset state. So now let me show you what it actually looks like when you're holding a guitar and you're tweaking things. So let's dial up some ProSonic captures. I just dialed in my ProSonic for single coils, and I'm really, really loving these presets. So let's just load this TS ProSonic Warm 2 on each of my ToneX pedals. So if I go back to the editor right here, this is loaded in. It's italicized. I'm not really sure why. Again, there might still be some bugs in this. If I say revert, just wondering what happens. Oh, it goes back to that. So, oh, you do have to save it in that slot. So I guess that makes sense, and I'm glad we're kind of working this out together. So if you're in the Librarian and you're over that spot and you load that in like this, you do have to save it to that location. I guess just as you would on the physical pedal itself. So go back to the editor. If it's italicized, you do need to save it, so you can save it right there. But everything I had right here is stock. So let's go do that to the other ToneX pedal. Again, it takes a while. Let's speed that up. Okay, so now we're on our second ToneX pedal, and let's load in this warm preset right there. Let's go back to editor. I could just save it right then and there, but again, it's italicized, so it needs to be saved. So let's save it. Just make sure none of our other changes are affected. Actually, real quick, let's grab a different one. I needed to gain that up just a little bit more. Let's grab Warm 3 instead. It's a bit more of the right saturation. So now, obviously, I have stereo pedals. So if I make an adjustment on one of them, you're gonna hear it on one side first. So if I just turn up the model volume on this one, I'm adjusting the left speaker so you can hear that right away. If I want to reset chain easily, I can bring it back. If I wanted to adjust the gain up a little bit, I can start hearing that on that side. Again, reset chain. If I wanted to turn the mids up, so everything works as it should. If you go into the global settings here, global setup, and turn up the input trim, it's going to raise volume. on that left side. Obviously, in the big box ToneX, you have a little bit more control. Let's bring this back to 0. You have all of your global controls right here. You can set MIDI channel, tuner settings, some general stuff, has some info on it, all that good stuff. So here's, just so you can hear it, here's nothing but the ProSonic. These are brand new captures. You can find them on my website. Just have a little compressor on at the beginning, but that's pretty much it. Little daily driver. And Audio Kitchen fake plastic trees. Back to the daily driver. There's the kilt. Anyway, this is not a demo about my ProSonic captures, although I really like them. Okay, so full transparency, I literally just got my hands on this yesterday, the day before we were allowed to even record anything. And so I recorded this in a day, just spent a tiny time with it. There's still some tweaks they're going to make to it, maybe some bug fixes. I don't know. Haven't found too many bugs myself. It's a great answer to a problem that we've been barking at IK for a very long time. The editor is here. It's great. It's everything we wanted and expected it to be. But if you have any questions about the software, I'd be glad to answer them. Drop them in the comments below and I'll get right back to you. You can also check me out on Instagram at the Tone Shepherd, where I'm pretty responsive to my DMs there. Also, just would love to have you join me over there for conversation. I'm a worship pastor, and just to have some conversations around the idea of worship, how to pair heart and craft together. We talk about all that there. All of my ToneX captures are available on my website, but you can also try them out on ToneNet. I'm a tone partner with IK Multimedia, so if you go to ToneNet and just search Tone Shepherd, you should find me. I also have some collections available there as well. But this has been fun, so I'm glad you joined, and I hope you're just as excited about this as I was when I first found out that this was going to be released. Much appreciated, IK Multimedia. Thanks for letting me try this out a little bit early, and I know you're gonna love it when you get your hands on it. Hey, until I see you in the next video, be blessed.